Hi everybody. On the 20th of June 2020, the Magic Kingdom will be opening its gates once more to the public. Obviously with measures in place. On exactly the same day, the 11th of June, the Animal Kingdom will also be opening. So those two will be what is going to be starting the ball rolling. The next lot to be opening a few days later on the 15th will be Epcot, you'll be pleased to hear, and the Disney Studios. That completes the 4 main parks. The water parks are still going to remain closed in the meantime, but it's still good news all round. Now the measures in place is the wearing of face masks, something we're not used to at all, but something we have to kind of get used to for a little while and for a little while longer if we're going to such places. And a lot of people that worn them said that after a while you tend to forget that you're wearing them, but so some people that have problems or breathing problems, they may be excused wearing them. I'm not really sure how that's going to work. Also on entry into the park, I believe either they will be complimentary to you or you might be able to pay for them at a small charge. But to be on the safe side, bring your own. The capacity in the park could be lowered. Now in Shanghai Disneyland, they lowered the capacity to 30%. That doesn't mean to say that in Disney World they're going to do exactly the same. They may have a limited capacity, but what they're actually doing and what they're concentrating on more than anything else is the distance that everybody has to stand apart. Now I'm 6 foot, almost 6 foot, all bar ½ an inch. So basically take into consideration that if I'm 6 foot, if I stretch my arms out, that's 6 foot there. So however high I am is also however wide I can stretch my arms. So that is the distance that you have to stay apart, or that's the minimum distance that they're requiring you to stay apart from other people, if possible, obviously. Especially in any of the lines or the queues to get onto the ride. So that's going to be the distance you're going to be apart. The queues are going to appear to be longer, but they're not really, because there's only going to be exactly the same amount of people joining those lines, and they're going to go down just as quick as they did before. There's going to be no single riders, okay, for obvious reasons. And there's no single riders where you would queue up or join a line to get on there faster, and you would go out, if you're a single person, you would get on there so much quicker. If there's 2 of you, you decide to split up to get through there quicker so you can enjoy the experience, you can do that. That's going to be taken out for the time being and for the foreseeable future. So it's going to be for families and people that are obviously together, friends that are travelling together, will be able to get onto some of the rides. Let's take Test Track for instance, where I think they take 6 persons in there. So sometimes you can have a family of 5 or 4, and then they'll push in 1 or 2 single riders. Well, that won't be the case at the moment. So if you are a family unit and there's a spare seat, there'll still be a spare seat. That's good news for when you want a photograph taken, so you haven't got the extra person that you don't know who they are in there pulling faces behind you when that photograph's taken. I'm not saying they do, but they might have done, and they've spilt it. The Magic Kingdom is it's a large park, but it's one of the smaller parks, although it's just grown in size actually. It's what is it, about 110 acres, 120 acres now it's grown. Magic Kingdom, anybody that's visited there, and it's a full house, literally with people, it can get quite crammed in different places, especially when parades and fireworks and things like that are going on. But at the moment, obviously, as you can imagine, that's something that will be on hold for the future. You won't have any fireworks at the moment. You won't have any parades. They might put something else that's kind of interesting going on in the park. They might have lights going on in the castle as people are walking around, but they won't be making a feature of it where you literally gather together to watch some show happening, because it's a no-no for obvious reasons. All areas of the park are going to be opening up. Washing of the hands is going to be paramount. They're going to have wash stations. They're going to incorporate this into all the parks. So, and that's not a bad thing at all. That doesn't just mean to say that it's in the restrooms. And again, as I said, within the Disney Springs, sanitisation of places like the restrooms, cleaning down regularly, the regular cleaning, disinfecting of benches, seats, push buttons, anything like lifts, elevators, escalators, handrails, places that you touch, they're all going to be cleaned off regularly throughout the day, which again isn't a bad thing. It makes more work for people, but then again, people need the work. The parks need to open, the guests need to come in, and the guests need to enjoy themselves, and that's what it's all about at the end of the day. But it's so that everything runs as it should do. It's not going to open any of its gates unless it feels it can make enough money to sustain itself. and I guess they feel that they can, so that's why they're doing it. And they have to start making this move pretty soon. Entrance fees. What's the entrance fees going to look like for the park? If they work exactly the same way as Universal are working, then they are going to be lowering the prices, because you're not going to be getting the full experience of a lot of things that you would normally. So it's only fair to say that they will be lowering the prices, and I would imagine that Walt Disney World is going to follow suit, or maybe they were the ones that came up with the idea in the first place. Universal Studios is going to be opening before Walt Disney World, so I guess that Walt Disney World will be taking a bit of a close look at how Universal Studios are doing. I hope they get it right. I'm sure they will do. What about the parking? Now, you've got to drive there. Are you still going to be paying the same amount for parking, which is about $25 per day in most of the parks, which actually is quite a lot of money, I think, really, when you consider it, and you know, keeping the price down. Universal Studios has done away, just for the time being, any parking fees. So there won't be any parking fees at Universal Studios. I guess that Disney World is going to follow the same suit and not charge you for parking either, until things start to change and get back to normal. Laminated menus is something that they often give you in the restaurants. Apparently they're doing away with those for the time being, and they're going to be offering you a paper menu, which you have on your table. You look at when you're finished with it, it is then thrown away and I guess recycled. Hot country is Florida, so the likelihood is they're probably going to have what was inside to transfer as much outside as possible. This includes nighttime as well. As I say, in Florida, it's a hot country. It's very, very warm at night. There's no problem with being outside, unless of course it rains, then you've got something else. And possibly the use of apps as well to be able to order your food. So when you get to the park, you'll be able to download this app very, very quickly. If you're worried about roaming charges or anything like that for getting the internet, Walt Disney World does have internet. From the minute you set through any of the gates or anywhere within Walt Disney World, you can sign in as a free guest. And I don't think you have to worry about all this putting in your email and other things. I think it's very, very quick to literally go into your Wi-Fi settings and then you sign in as a guest in Walt Disney World. And it remembers you every time that you go out there. So that's one good thing. From once you're in there, then you can start downloading your apps. In fact, you can download anything you want to. And of course, again, getting onto the rides, downloading an app which you can have a virtual line system. So basically, you walk into the park, you then put down the things that you want to line up for through the day, and it gives you a time slot. And once that window is open, whether it's a 15-minute or a half hour or an hour window, you come back to there and you go on the ride. Very similar that you would do with your fast pass, except at the moment I don't think they're going to be having fast passes in place at all, because that wouldn't make a lot of sense. Theatre experiences, like for instance in the Magic Kingdom, Mickey's PhilharMagic. I always find that's actually strange, that one, Mickey's PhilharMagic. It's more about Donald Duck than it is Mickey Mouse, isn't it? Mickey's PhilharMagic is a place that I would imagine it could work on reduced capacity. I don't know how they'll do that, but it may also be one of the last attractions to open, because it is a 3D theatre experience. It's a good one as well at that, but it's still relatively quite small. When you, what does it take, 500, 750 people in there? I'm not quite sure. So I guess if they can limit it down to a few people, but then it also means that not everybody's going to be able to get onto that in a day if they limit that much down. I don't think they're going to be opening those up straight away. I have heard that the AMC Theatres, which is a multi-screen cinema complex in Disney Springs, is remaining closed at the moment. So we long for everything to get back to normal. So that's Magic Kingdom opening on the 11th and Animal Kingdom also opening. And then of course on the 15th, Epcot and the Hollywood Studios will be opening its gates as well. Anyway, thanks very much everybody. Thanks very much for watching my channel. Please subscribe. Keep washing your hands. Stay safe. See you all again on YouTube. Cheers. Subscribe. Cheers.